Today is an exciting day. Not only will I be branching out into new content, but I'll be starting it off right with Halo's graphic novel. So if you're excited for what's to come, you know what to do. Released in 2006, the graphic novel is a collection of 4 amazingly written and stunningly illustrated short stories following characters we know from the games. Everything from Artas Vadum's harrowing escape from the flood-infected ship, the Infinite Succor, to the backstory on Master Chief's iconic Mark VI armor, to the wonderfully terrible tale of Sergeant Johnson's escape from the flood and containment facility on Alpha Halo, and my personal favorite story about how a war journalist / war propagandist witnessed the first mention of the Ark in the battle for Earth during the events of Halo 2. The Last Voyage of the Infinite Succor, armor testing, breaking quarantine, and second sunrise over New Mombasa. We'll be covering them all in a spoiler-free way, plus the last story connects to an ARG that tells the story of how our Halo 2 cases have in-universe war propaganda. So, without further hesitation, let us begin our great journey. The Last Voyage of the Infinite Succor is by far one of my favorite tales from the Halo universe. It follows Artas Vadum and his team of Covenant troops investigating the Infinite Succor after a dropship made an unauthorized explosive landing, releasing the flood and infecting the crew. The story is packed to the brim with bits and lore that'll make any Halo fan lose their marbles, picking up the moment Chief is dropped off in front of the flood facility on Alpha Halo that we got to play through in Halo CE, and explaining how the Covenant dealt with it and how Artas Vadum, or Shipmaster, became Half-Jaw with a badass sword fight with a flood-infected sub-commander Kusavai. That's not even mentioning the killer art style. Good lord, this comic is actually really amazing to look at. Just look at these deep but vibrant colors. They just make every flood-infected creature and Covenant pop. This isn't my favorite art in the graphic novel, but it's damn near close. I want some of these panels as posters, like I could just see it hanging up in my room. I think it would look good. I initially wanted to go super in depth, but like, you just need to read these and experience it. I recommend turning on the Halo Combat Evolved soundtrack while you're reading it, just like in the background, and just immerse yourself completely. I really hope and pray that if the Halo Combat Evolved remake is real, they'll add this as like a playable mission or a mini campaign as like an extra or something, kind of like the Force Survivor or Extreme Battle from Resident Evil 2. Because if they didn't, I feel like I think it'd be a total waste, honestly. So definitely read this one. Armor testing is my least favorite in the graphic novel, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Armor testing follows a Spartan and a few ODSTs in a training regimen to test the Spartan Mark VI armor before sending it to Cairo Station. The point that makes this story cool is its direct connection to Halo 2. While reading, I was waiting for something big to happen, but it wasn't until the end when they mentioned Master Chief that the story was instantly cool to me. I think my favorite part about the story is the great art style. It reminds me of the old 2003 Clone Wars TV show. If any of you guys watched that one, I know me and my siblings would watch that together like all the time. But if you see that show and then you like compare it to this comic, it looks very similar, and honestly I would love to see a Halo project in that style. Just the over-the-top action and stylistic composition would just be crazy. Either way, once again, you gotta read this story. Breaking Quarantine is the awesome story of how Sergeant Johnson escaped the flood on Alpha Halo. That's right, this story fills in one of the biggest mysteries of the series, and it does it perfectly. One of my favorite choices with this story is the lack of text bubbles cluttering the beautiful artwork. Each panel looks like a piece from an art book. A disgusting, gory art book, but an art book nonetheless. What makes this story interesting for me is how this takes place right before the Last Voyage of the Infinite Succor. I like to focus on the mission 343 Guilty Spark in this book just in general. When I was younger, that was my favorite mission. It was creepy and mysterious, and I always wanted to know more about it. I also appreciate the fact they kept the mystery. Last Voyage shows the effects of the containment breach in its early stages, and Breaking Quarantine shows an escape from that containment breach. I can't do this story justice though, like trying to just read it won't do it justice. Well, read it really isn't the term, but just like look at this picture, look at this picture. Like you just gotta experience it for yourself, like genuinely. That's the only way this story can be, like any justice can be given to the story. Just read it for yourself. Second Son over New Mombasa follows one of my new favorite characters in the Halo universe, Ben Jarreau, a war journalist / Oni war propagandist telling the story of the Covenant invasion of New Mombasa, and it's also the first mention of the Ark. I absolutely adore the art style, like, oh my lord, look at the colors. I know I've been gushing over the art in this book, but how could I not? Every story blends an art style with a respective narrative. The Flood stories have gritty, sharp edges, and the two less intense flashback stories have a dreamy cartoon aesthetic, which, once again, we have that 2003 Clone Wars art here, and you guys know, I already said it, I'm partial to it, so of course I'm gonna love this story. I love it. I'm telling you, if you like Halo lore, Second Son over New Mombasa is a dream. It not only is the first mention of the arc in the series, but it also connects to the Hunt the Truth ARG, in which my man Ben Giro went about exposing Oni for the Master Chief's quote-unquote story, connecting the real-world box art to in-universe war propaganda. This is why I love Halo. It never fails to tell amazing stories, but it also brings into question aspects of characters we never thought of, deepening the world but never overstepping the line of ambiguity. Please, if you have the time, give this story a read. It's got great visuals, a fun story, and mentions the plot of Halo 3 before Halo 3. Halo is easily in my top 5 fiction franchises or whatever. Its overarching story of biblical proportions, its masterful aesthetics, and god-tier soundtrack is why I find myself losing hours of my life exploring the ring, getting multi-kills in the multiplayer, and crying to never forget. The Halo graphic novel encapsulates everything I think Halo is about in a comic format. It tells rich, mysterious stories flooded with creepy subtext and cataclysmic foreshadowing. I was originally going to go super deep and pretty much just read the stories, but it wasn't engaging, and I felt it deterred people from actually experiencing this diamond of a book for themselves. Genuinely, if you like Halo or just art, I think you'll appreciate this graphic novel. Maybe in the future I can cover these stories more in depth, but I really feel I would be doing it a disservice trying to explain something that's best experienced. You can buy this online at xbox.com or Amazon, or you could just check it out from the library. Whatever you do, you gotta get your hands on this book and give it a shot. So that's it. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can buy this if you want to pick it up. If you like this, consider subscribing. I've got a lot more planned. But with that though, I think it's about time I skate out of here. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.